So I just visited Dave. He hasn't looked much better. The mold's been affecting me. My landlord is still trying to suck his tenants dry. My apartment's still moldy, damaged on the outside of the building, and the windows, pipes, bugs all gotta be fixed, and the landlord wants us to pay, even though we already paid him for it. Now, while I was at Walmart, I needed to pick up Marilax, and I was able to get my insurance card that has some cash for picking that up. So I finally got Marilax. I got emergency packets and a bottle. But one other thing that I find interesting is when I was in the hunting zone, you can buy a bow with 12 pounds of pressure for $15, and you can buy a bow of 22 pounds of pressure for $25. Now, those are kids' bows. They're for practice. But can you kill a turkey? Could you still pierce somebody's skin with them? Oh, fuck yeah. Okay, so you can get a bow that's as good as the Indian used for like $15. You can literally be as good as a Native American with those things? Sure can. Okay, so if you got 12 pounds of pressure, that's not that great. We can get a fold-out bow for $60 that fits in your little backpack, and you can fold it out, and that's 60 pounds of pressure for $60 to $100. But do I have money to get a bow, and why would I need one? Well, if I'm gonna live in a cave in the woods, keeping a fire going, moving from wood line to wood line, town from town, walking 15 hours in and out of wood lines, it's probably not a good idea to have a bow unless I bury it in certain locations. Well, how would I get a bow without paying for it? Well, we'll let my insurance pay for it, seeing as my insurance will cover $20 more of anything at Walmart. Well, I got my Marilax at Walmart. Do they sell CBD, or CBN that actually works? No, they don't. They only got the fake ones. Okay, so I can't get my CBD medicine. I got my Marilax. What else could I get from Walmart to keep me going a little longer? Do they sell epilepsy medication? No. Do they sell doctors who actually will do their fucking jobs? No. Do they sell honest fathers and honest mothers that will tell the truth at the doctors? Fuck no. Okay, so how do I survive? Is there anything I can buy with this $20 that only can be spent at Walmart through my insurance card? Yeah, I can buy a bow, and I can live in the woods with a goddamn bow, and I can spend the other $5 on arrows and adjust them to hold certain powders or liquids. Well, what good is that? What's good for hunting? And I guess it would be good for dying. I mean, if you're gonna die and somebody's gonna kill you, it's probably a good idea to go out with a bang. But I'd much rather just work on this the correct way. What is the correct way? Well, according to the priest and according to the doctors, all that has to happen is I have to contact my family, tell them how my mother had Munchausen syndrome, tell her how she poisoned me, tell them how I'm still sick, tell them all the symptoms I've had in the last 25 years, and tell them they need to work on this. Did I do that? Yes. Did I go to the doctors? Yes. Is this gonna work? No. Why? They poisoned my doctors with false information again and 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 again. And then my mother gave them more false information again and again and again and again and again. Then my father doubled down on the false information again and again and again. Then my mother died, and my father tried to cover up her stuff again and again. Then he remarried, and they ended up putting up stories again at the doctors and again at the doctors and again at the doctors and again at the doctors. Well, doesn't my family find it weird that when I ask the doctor for sleep meds, anxiety meds, they give me a bunch of Seroquel, Thorazine, and crazy pills? Why were those the pills that I need to take? Because they're not. Even the doctors are like, there might, we have this on your file that you take these, but, like, why? And it's all confusing to the doctors, too. What's not confusing is my information. When I tell them about my mother and all this, it all makes perfect sense until they try to find it in my medical history. Then they're like, we don't see any of this in his medical history. Why is that? Because my mother tried to get away with her crimes. She never got the help she needed. Instead, she made up stories about me mentally ill And then my voice, oh, he has a funny voice, a funny walk, and we got 15 years of medical records that say all this crazy ass shit. So we have him unconscious. We scraped him off the road. We have nothing on why he's unconscious. He's sober. So what the fuck are we going to do with this kid? The doctors go, just release him. We don't know. Okay. So how do we stop that from happening? How do we stop the doctors from understanding my mother's side? Because we got me. If we follow my information, I get better. If we follow my mother's and father's information, I get worse. Well, what do the doctors have for information? They mostly have a lot of my mother's and father's lies, manipulations, and bullshit. Then I walk in and I give out a report of what just happened to me, and then they don't even know how to make heads or tails of this. So the best way is to get my father to work with me. But now, I originally only needed my father to work with me at the doctor's. That's it. Just to have a conversation with me and have a conversation with my worker, my doctor, and Social Security, and things move forward. That was 3 years ago. He's done nothing but poison my doctors, poison the waters. So now these doctors are useless to me. Even if my father turns and tries to act like he's actually a decent human being, these doctors have already been poisoned with him. Once when you poison somebody, you can't go, oopsie, let me see if I can unpoison you. No, that's almost impossible. What has to be done is now I got to move to another town in another apartment and see doctors in that town and work all over. They have to be new doctors at a new hospital. They have to be new. Plus my neurologist, we already got 3 months. I'm moving out no matter what. I'm not staying in this fucking town. Now, do I have a choice? No. Could I stay here if I had more money? Only for another month or two. That's the max. I'm going to the Supreme Court with this, but I have no support. I'm injured. My roommate's in the emergency room, and we're getting malpractice left and right. Why am I getting malpractice left and right? Because that's what my father wants. He doesn't want me getting better, and he has to take some responsibility. No. If he has to take responsibility for something that happened to me, if something was done to me by his wife, he's not going along with it. He'd rather see me dead. Oh, my wife did something? No, Zach's just mental. Oh, I don't care how much proof he has. I'm not driving to get the proof. No, he's a fantasy. Then when Social Security calls, when Beth calls, who works for the New Hampshire Health and Families, what do they tell them? It's all a fantasy. It's all a game. It's a red herring. So then they cut off my emergency bracelet, and when I go in the hospital with internal bleeding that's visible, they give me a bunch of shit until they see it. Then when the doctors see it, they go, oh my God, this is real. Same thing at the primary care. They go, oh my God, this is real. Yeah, you need a GI specialist and a urologist. Then they go in the hallway like, why are you having me see this guy? I'm not qualified to look into these injuries. Why? Well, his father told us that it's just a mental illness, so you're a mental illness specialist. Yeah, but this kid's not mentally ill. I can see the blood. It's not a mental illness. Why are you guys sending him to me? His medical records? That was that fucking Goodwin. Of course. My medical records keep getting worse and more fraudulent every year that goes by. Every year that the doctors feed in to my mother's mental illness and my father's fantasies, my life gets harder and harder. Why does this have to be this way? Why do doctors have to malpractice me and continue feeding into my father? I mean, it's not like there's anything going on, just a funny voice, a funny walk, and they find me unconscious, bleeding at places. I have problems moving my legs and moving my arms at times. That's it. But I am getting angry and pissed off that people are hurting me, so I am this close to becoming radical. But I've always taken abuse and helped out my community. I've never hurt a single soul in my life. I've never tried to go after anybody. I believe in forgiveness. I let my family belittle me. I was always what they call over-honest. When I drank a beer, I told my father I drank a beer. When I did a science experiment without permission, I told my father. Well, what happens when I do stuff like that? Then they come up with fantasies to add to it. If I tell my father how I brought a match to slug slime for a science experiment, that gets turned into, he's a serial killer, he's hurting animals. So you can see how when you go to a doctor, turning something innocent and childish into a giant, he's going to become a serial killer type thing, of course that's going to cause problems. But did I really ever hurt anybody? No. Did my father's house ever go missing? No. Did I ever do the things that my mother and father really are saying? No. My father never lost a house. He never even bought me a car. He stole clothing money. He acts like, well, we clothed him, we fed him. Oh, really? What was I eating in New Mexico, Dad? You fed me in New Mexico for those 2 years? What did you feed me? Oh, well, that was on them. Oh, that was on them. So you didn't feed me for those 2 years. Okay. Well, how about when I was in Haverhill? You brought me clothing on special occasions, but I was the only kid that wasn't allowed to go clothing shopping. I was made fun of for 4 years for having no decent clothing, where all I needed was $50 to go on my clothing run and go shopping. Now, I was getting a clothing check, so why? Every month, every kid in that program got a clothing check, including me. So what the fuck? Why can't I go clothing shopping every month with the rest of the kids? If I'm getting a clothing check from the state, and I am, and everybody else is getting a clothing check from the state, they are. Why am I the one who's not allowed to go clothing shopping? Because my father wants to handle the money and pocket it. He doesn't want me going out every month and going clothing shopping, not even with $50. $50 a month in clothing is too much, he says. No, 0 is the number you need, and I'll get you your clothing. I'm 16 years old. I'm wearing short shorts, frickin' church clothing, extra large sweaters I trade for. I look like a goddamn retard because I have a choice. I can wear an extra large sweater, a black shirt that I like. I can wear a dress shirt. I can wear dress shoes. I can wear some shitty short shorts. Or I can wear a bunch of jeans that ass hang out because they're Costco jeans and everybody makes fun of me. But I don't care. I never cared at that time, because I didn't know I got a clothing check. My father hid it from me and kept it for himself. But that's not even the start of it. Then, 4 years later, when I'm 19 and I go to apply for Social Security, because people are seeing me twitch, shake, bumping the furniture, they know I'm taking a lot of meds and they hear my speech impediment. So they say I need to be on Social Security for those reasons that they're seeing with their naked eyes. Okay, so I go to apply, but I find out I'm already on it. My father's just keeping it, but the program I'm in says that's illegal. We require $600 a month in rent if you're on Social Security and you're getting state funding. So now I owe the program over 12 months in rent. My father is being brought up on charges, and I'm supposed to sign as a witness that this happened. What do? Do I just sign and tell the truth? I mean, I'm telling the truth by signing. Yes, this really did happen. But what would happen if I just did what I was supposed to and signed the paper? My father would turn it around, say I'm an evil kid, say I'm taking his money. My wife would call me all these names. They would keep on holding my health care hostage. They wouldn't let me know what the fuck was going on, as well as many, many other problems. Then my mother drinks and drugs herself to death. She's popping pills, she's drinking. Even when she comes home from the hospital with liver failure, she decides to drink while on the liver transplant list. My father can't accept that his decisions led us down this road. Not my decisions. I never made my mother drink. I never made her steal pills from the closet that weren't prescribed to her. I never made her pop extra of those pink pain pills. I never made her hurt herself or me. I never caused my mother to lie at the doctors. I never forced my father to look the other way when my mother was acting crazy. I never forced my father to steal money. I never forced my father to lie to Social Security. I never forced my father to be greedy with the money. I never forced my father to try to use his lawyer to wiggle his way into getting an extra inheritance so bad, so illegally, that his lawyer called me and said he was worried because my father was about to do something he's not supposed to. So I need to talk to my father because my mother left me an inheritance and my father is about to do something with it, so I should talk to him. So then I talk to my father. I say, why is your lawyer calling me, telling me that there's an inheritance for me and you're doing something? It's a lie. He should have never called you. Nothing's happening. It's a lie. No, he wanted the money and he took it. And then I asked him that same question and he promised me he would tell the truth right in front of his third wife. And you know what he did? He paused, that you can tell this is the real truth, and then he just shoots out the lie. He cannot tell the truth. Now, if my father does tell the truth, he'll scream it at me going, you want to hear it, you motherfucker? You want the fucking money? You want it, you motherfucker? No, I wanted you to be calm, collected, honest, and be an honest man. I want you to follow Jesus and say, yes, Zach, I took your inheritance. I thought you would spend it on drugs, so I took it for myself to spend on whatever I thought was necessary. I was going on vacations after that. I understand. I used your money on vacation, so what? And then I say, and that's why you actually owe me money. You complain about $2,000 here, $4,000 here, tossing me a bone. Meanwhile, you suck with thousands and thousands of dollars out of me in years while I miss out on education. I'm missing 4 years of my education. Did you ever get me a car? Did I ever get to drive? No, you found that not necessary. And he'll go, I would have got you a car. No, you fucking wouldn't. You wouldn't even show me how to drive. You wouldn't even get in the car and let me learn how to drive. I had 2 years where my father could show me how to drive. I had a learner's permit for 2 years. You know what I did with that learner's permit? I bought cigarettes with it. That's all use it was. I asked Dan, I asked my father, I asked Dan. Well, why didn't I ask my brother? Because he was drinking and driving, he got caught, and he lost his license. Then my father shelled out thousands to bail him out, just like he bailed out all these other people. Me? I've never asked him to bail me out. The only stuff I asked for money for prison or anything like that were things that don't even have to do with me, just a bunch of frame-up bullshit from me living homeless. Like, for instance, I was working at a store called Smoke Valley. They told me to go on break. They said I could get a bag of chips and stuff, so I grabbed it. I went outside, I opened my bag of chips, I started eating it, I opened the Arizona. Before I know it, a cop is telling me to turn around, put my hands behind my back, and he says I'm trespassing. Where I work? That's the store I just worked at. Well, it doesn't matter, you're trespassing. And then they search my pocket and they find the knife I used to open the boxes in the store. They go, ooh, look at this small little knife. Now we're going to get you for possession of a dangerous weapon. I'm working. That's the store. I'm right in front of it. Doesn't matter because there was drug deals going on the side and the cops were in on it. And I didn't know that part. So it wasn't about me. It was about getting me out of the front so the drug dealers could do their stuff behind the corner. Oh, that's why. So why did I really need to pay Lawrence back $800? Why did they want $800 from me? Because I was in the wrong place when the cops were trying to do drug deals. I had no idea they were doing drug deals on the side until years later when I got a job working for them selling on the smoke part of it, Smoke Valley. So they had me working on the pipes, bongs, pipes, all that stuff. They had me selling over there. It was great help when I was starving to death and I had nowhere to live, because then I was able to get Nick, somebody who I lived with in a program, to let me stay at his house because he loved Smoke Valley so much and he loved something called K2 there. So Smoke Valley used to give me a bag of K2 at the end of every day to bring back to Nick so I could stay there. But a lot of times Nick would throw me out to try to get another bag of K2, but I told him it doesn't work like that. I'm not buying it. I get one for you a day. That's it. He wanted more. He used to blow through it because it's drugs. But I got a place to stay. The store gave me food, cigarettes. They gave me a bathroom to use, and they kept me safe from all the gang members. More than my family could say, more than Lowell could say. Lowell was throwing me out of shelters and having me live in tent cities and out in the woods. Well, when they found me having a seizure on the side of the road, they find me unconscious and I end up in the emergency room all sober like. You know what the nurses ask? Why are you sober? What type of fucking question is that? Oh, he found you unconscious and you're sober, so what's wrong with you? I just told you guys multiple times what's wrong with me. Yeah, but we don't see that on your medical file. And? Does that change the facts? No. It just means my mother and father lied and they didn't talk about my real disabilities. When the teachers and the doctors were trying to help me in Westford, my mother didn't want them to look into the overdose. She caused the overdose. What mother would want to get caught for destroying your child's nervous system? If they help me with my nervous system, then they're going to hear about the overdose and they're going to find out what my mother did. So she needs to hide that. So she did. She moved me to Texas, New Mexico, Maine, and then she came up with a million stories in Massachusetts. because I still wanted help. Every time I asked for help in the doctor's office, my mother and father heard about it. Then my mother would go nuts hurting me, trying to come up with stories about me. Everything was a fucking story. Everything was self-harming. Everything was suicide. So then when I'm living in the woods, and I'm actually suicidal because I just died and they brought me back to life and I want to stop getting killed and being brought back to life. They found me frozen to death. You were dead on arrival. We brought you back. Now you're unconscious from a seizure. We brought you back. Why are you sober? Then we brought you back. They keep on bringing me back to life, sending me out in 0 degrees to freeze to death all over again. Do you know how fucking bad it is to freeze to death, have a seizure, have injuries, head injuries, all different types of shit on a regular basis, and have the hospital just treating you like it's a revolving door, never keeping you for anything other than addiction or mental health? That's all they'll treat me for. I can get all the drugs I want. I can get all the opiates I want, all the mental health drugs I want, but I need to get better epilepsy medication and a diagnosis for what happened to me. But see, that's too hard. That takes work. Can't we just throw meds at the problem? Can't we just throw drugs at the problem? Can't we just release him and get rid of him? That is everybody's attitude. So I'll be living in the woods with a poison crossbow ready to go fucking radical because of these fuckers. Oh, and what do I really want to do? I want to go to church, work my job, and help other people just like I've been doing for the last 25 years. Actually, sorry, for the last 15 years? Closer to 15. I just want to continue making a difference in society. I want to continue volunteering. I want to continue helping the elderly. I want to continue working. I want to continue getting better. But I'm not allowed. The doctor said that's not allowed. All they're going to do is feed into my mother's and father's illness. And remember, my father's 89. And they think that my father's new wife is my mother. Yeah, this is how the doctors are. I tell them my mother's dead, and they tell me, no, she isn't, she's alive. What the fuck are you telling me? I know my mother's dead. You don't fucking tell me that shit. And then the doctor's like, no, we just talked to your mother. She's still alive. Stop with that shit. Oh my God, I am tired of this shit where I tell the doctors my mother passed away in 2011, and then they tell me, stop with the fantasies. Your mother's alive, we just talked to her. That is my stepmother that's married my fucking father. But no. See, every time I say something like my mother passed away in 2011, the doctors come back with something like, oh, that's a fantasy. We just talked to your mother. No, you didn't. My mother's been dead. I watched her die, you motherfucker. But no, they want to keep doing this. Why? Because that's what my mother and father told them. That's all they see on my medical record. They see that when I say my mother died, that it must be a fantasy because they just talked to some woman that says she's my mother on the phone. But instead, what they are is being manipulated. My mother did die in 2011. My father remarried her best friend, and that's who they're talking to on the phone. But because they're writing all this fantasy bullshit, and my mother and father are going, oh, sorry, my mother's dead, but my mother did do this too. But because that's why I say mother and father, because they're both still doing this. They're misinforming the doctors, confusing the doctors. So now the doctors come in like, oh, no, your mother's not dead. If I tell you my mother's dead, you can take that to the bank. You fucking doctor are about to get fucking punched in the fucking nose. How dare you? But see, I act all calm. No, my mother really did die. No, we just talked to her. No, I'm telling you, she died in 2011. Well, then go get us a death certificate. How the fuck am I going to get that when you've taken away my ability to drive? If you want me to get a death certificate, give me epilepsy medication and a diagnosis. I'll get a car and we'll drive and get you that. But until you guys help me, I cannot move forward. I cannot live in the woods anymore, guys, either. The next time you guys having me live in the woods, not allowed to stay in a shelter, not allowed to do any of this shit, I'm coming after the list. I'm coming after the